Imagine waking up one morning and seeing headlines everywhere saying $2,000 payments are practically guaranteed. For millions of seniors, disabled individuals, and low-income families, that headline feels like hope mixed with doubt. Because for years, Washington has made big promises, but very few have turned into money in people's bank accounts. That's exactly why today's update is so important. There is a real shift happening, and for the first time, both major parties appear to be quietly preparing for a massive round of direct payments. But here's the critical question I want to ask you before we take another step. Do you believe these $2,000 payments will actually happen? Yes or no? Let me know in the comments because your answer tells me how much trust the American people still have in their government. Before we start breaking down the facts, and there are many, please take 1 second to like and subscribe to Social Security Post, because over the next few weeks, more details are going to unfold quickly, and you deserve to know the truth before anyone else. Today's developments involve Democrats unexpectedly supporting a plan originally associated with President Trump, a timeline that stretches into the 2026 midterms, and a financial puzzle that explains why the payments might not be exactly $2,000. So sit tight, because the story behind these checks is much bigger than anyone expected. For months, this story felt one-sided. Republicans talked about tariff rebate checks, Democrats dismissed the idea, and the public assumed nothing would move forward. But in the last several days, something remarkable happened. Democratic voices started speaking out, not only expressing openness to direct payments, but encouraging lawmakers to jump aboard the plan. Andrew Yang, a former Democratic presidential candidate known for pushing universal basic income, publicly stated that Democrats should support any proposal that puts money in the hands of struggling workers. That comment wasn't random. It reflects a deeper conversation happening behind closed doors. Democrats know the economy is still unstable, households are feeling the strain, and voters across the spectrum are desperate for relief that feels real, not theoretical. But according to political insiders, there's a more strategic reason behind this shift. Democrats privately believe these payments, in some form or another, are going to happen, no matter which party pushes them forward. Instead of allowing Republicans to take full credit, they want a voice in shaping the final amount and the eligibility rules. Some even believe they could pressure the administration to increase the amount beyond $2,000 if they gain additional seats in 2026. This is almost a mirror of what happened in Georgia in 2021, when candidate Joe Biden promised voters that electing Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock would lead to immediate stimulus checks. The strategy worked. The seats flipped, and although the checks ended up being $1,400 instead of $2,000, the political impact was huge. Democrats now see an opportunity to repeat that playbook, but this time with Trump's own proposal. The pressure on the administration has been building for months. Inflation has remained elevated, grocery prices reached historic highs, and job numbers have continued to swing unpredictably, creating anxiety even in households that were comfortable just a few years ago. To stabilize food prices, the administration has been selectively eliminating tariffs on certain imported food items that are difficult to produce domestically. The idea is simple: reduce tariffs, reduce prices. But as often happens in Washington, the situation is more complicated. American manufacturers who rely on imported components warn that removing tariffs on non-food items could make production more expensive and push consumer prices even higher. That internal conflict is one of the reasons the White House began considering direct payments as a quick pressure release valve for families. Behind the scenes, Trump's economic advisors understand something else. Direct payments are extremely popular among voters. In a period where many Americans feel squeezed by inflation, uncertain about the job market, and overwhelmed by rising costs, a lump sum payment provides immediate relief. When a reporter asked a senior official whether Americans should expect the $2,000 payments, She said the administration was committed to making that happen and was exploring all legal options. That is a significant statement because it signals that the administration is preparing pathways that do not rely on Congress. Which brings us directly to the next major development. To understand how this could happen, we need to go back to 2020, when Trump signed a series of executive actions that bypassed Congress during the pandemic. Using FEMA funds, payroll tax deferrals, and emergency authorities, he delivered relief at a moment when lawmakers were completely deadlocked. That playbook is back on the table, but the legal environment has changed. While the pandemic was an official national emergency, the administration now argues that a persistent trade deficit, combined with inflation pressures, qualifies as an economic emergency. Whether that argument will stand in court is the biggest unknown. But the administration believes the recent SNAP ruling, where judges force the government to use contingency funds, strengthens the argument that federal agencies can redirect money in urgent situations. Economists warn that this sets a powerful precedent. If a judge allows the president to redirect funds in one circumstance, it opens the door for broader financial maneuvers in others. That's why some analysts believe Trump may attempt to channel tariff revenues or agency funds toward these payments without a formal bill from Congress. If that happens, Democrats would be forced to react instead of lead. One more reason they are warming to the idea early. Still, even if the White House finds a legal pathway, the logistics of collecting enough tariff revenue bring us to the biggest issue of all: the math. Trump has publicly stated that the payment amount will land somewhere between $1,000 and $2,000, and that statement was not made casually. That number range reflects the current financial reality. To send $2,000 to roughly 150 million Americans, the government would need $300 billion in available tariff revenue. As of today, we are nowhere near that figure. Tariff revenue has increased, and projections show stronger numbers for 2026, but the total amount collected so far is significantly below what is needed for $2,000 payments at full national scale. And this is where the political disagreement gets fierce. Republicans do not want to borrow additional money to fund the payments, because increasing the national deficit is highly unpopular with their base. This means one of three outcomes is likely. Number one, the payments end up being smaller than $2,000. Number two, the payments are split into multiple rounds. Number three, eligibility is narrowed to reduce the total cost. The first option, smaller checks, is currently the most realistic. Analysts estimate the final payment could fall between $1,200 and $1,600 depending on tariff collections from late 2025 through 2026. The public will not like it, politicians will spin it in different directions, but mathematically it makes the most sense unless tariff revenue surges beyond expectations. Despite the excitement online, the earliest realistic timeline for these payments is after August to 2026, and that estimate comes from policymakers in both parties. There is almost zero chance, around 0.1%, that these payments will arrive in 2025. The administration is still negotiating tariff terms, analyzing revenue, and determining the legal pathway to distribute the money. On top of that, elections are coming. Strategists from both parties understand that sending payments too early wastes political impact, while sending them too late risks losing momentum. Timing them around the 2026 midterms creates maximum voter influence. And yes, both parties think about this every election cycle. Some analysts believe the checks might not be fully ready until early 2027, between January and March. That window gives the administration more time to finalize tariff negotiations, collect revenue, challenge court decisions if necessary, and structure the payments in a way that avoids increasing the deficit. In other words, the checks are not a fantasy. They are absolutely being discussed at the highest levels, but they are not immediate. As the political and economic pieces move into place, we will know more about the exact amount, eligibility, and distribution method. And as always, I'll make sure you get the truth before the headlines do. Before we wrap up, remember, these plans are still moving and the details can shift fast. I'll keep watching every update for you. Make sure to like and subscribe to Social Security Post and leave your questions in the comments so I can cover them in the next video. Thank you for watching,